Alright,
But what
let
are
me
you
hit the
saying?
buttons. What am I saying? Oh, on the Twitch thing? God damn, I need to, like, carve my screen up so much better. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Now you're live streaming Sid Meier's Civilization 6.
Can you see the enter transmission
Yep. Intermission is there.
chat box?
It says followers only chat. But I am following. What's going on? I chatted. No! You might need to change the thing, though, because it still says, It still says you're streaming Civ 6.
Yeah, no, literally.
What? No, just go on just chatting.
I know, but that's just a chat on.
Yeah, dude. Grab a cup of tea. We'll be just chatting a cup of tea, and then we'll like. Grab a cup of tea. We'll be just. We'll attract all of the like. Grab a cup of tea. We'll be just. We'll attract 18-year-old people that are just chilling, and then boom, revolutionary people just chilling, and then boom, 18-year-old people that are just chilling, and then boom, that's how you get them. People that are just chilling, and then boom, that's how you get them. People that are just chilling, that's how you get them. That's how you get them. People that are just chilling, and then boom, that's how you get them. People that are just chilling, and then boom, what's how you get them. That's how you get them. People that are just chilling, what's how you get them. That's how you get them. People that are just chilling, what's how you get them. What's how you get them. People that are just chilling, what's how you get them. That's how you get them. I don't know what's happening. How you get them. What's how you get them. I don't know what's happening. How you get them. What's how you get them. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. How you get them. How you get them. I don't know what's happening. How you get them. How you get them. I don't know what's happening. How you get them. How you get them. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. How you get them. How you get them. Wait, what's up? Can you not hear me at all? What's going on? How you get them. Wait, what's up? Can you not hear me at all? What's going on? How you get them. What's up? What's up? Can you not hear me at all? Oh yeah, no, just mute me on one. What's up? Can you not hear me at all? Oh yeah, no, just mute me on one. What's up? Can you not hear me at all? Oh yeah, no, just mute me on one. Oh yeah.
So, thanks for. Yes, okay, yeah, that way. Right, hopefully that. On this screen. Right, so, am I in chat? Good. then I'm going to add the steps. Be ready. It's okay, 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 okay. It should be, however, okay. Don't know. We here. Is it on? That should be. The sound of the text. No, in the middle there could be the chat box. But I guess the chat box because obviously it's like anyway. We have that. I mean, you should get that. Come with me because you don't need that space. No, we're just talking and vibing. Okay. First, first things first, yeah. Hello everybody, it's a pleasure to have you here to listen to us. We're going to be talking about COVID, fascism. We'll be talking about this, the capitalist eugenics going on against us working class people because they don't give a damn about it. They're being breeding each other like they're the pedigrees of society and we're the Mongols. That's how it is today. So we have got a text here and so for most things going to be social democracy and moderate winger fascism. Ooh, I've got so much thoughts on it, we can wait, so we decided to test out this platform on Twitch, go live, hope we can help some people as well, and engage with something that you just want to talk about. But first off, Ryan, for anybody who's new, just a little quick introduction. Nation, adult housing about all working and all of that. And at the same time, I had some of my own ideas from like seeing the Lumpen. who was taught all my life, actually, the scum society, and would like rob you and kill you, and do all this evil shit, and we're gonna end up in jail and all of that. And she started to realize that, you know what, these people, these are some good people, the class structure of the society. So I also was like fell into that whole girl in and out and like had to fight to be like working class anyway, you know, as it is. So, you know, I wanted to, as a mom, just represent these lumpen class who were ostracized and organization on the left and represent them and say this is all madness, so I'm going to be producing some theory, hopefully over some time. I'm convinced there's people that, you know, there's a lot of revolutionary potential there that people aren't tapping into it, and a lot of it they're not realizing that, you know, we should look into that. So, what do you make this COVID situation? Flipping hell. So, what, like, ultimately, if you ask somebody, just like the average liberal and that, like, what do you make of this COVID situation, like, I've been doing, there's a lot of discussion about it. I ask people a lot, you know, are you going to get the vaccine? No, half jokingly, because I half know the answer. You do get some responses where they're in, like, positions such as, like, these pharmacy workers who we're speaking to and ask the question to, like, they've got to, you know, just as their job, because they're you know, they're interacting with like vulnerable people in their job. So they weren't too fussed on it because to them it was just psychologically, I don't even have to think about it. It's not like an ethical, moral, scientific question. It's just a material necessity, economic necessity. So they have to do that. So that makes sense. But for the people who like aren't forced to take a vaccine through work, these people have the doubt, and I and before they even get to like maybe conspiracy theory like rhetoric about these doubts and about like Bill Gates, you know, and all this vaccine and all of that, I do just say like, you know, a lot of people are trying to be scientific, they are trying to like analyze these things properly, and like a lot of people have got like, you know, the measles, mumps, and rubella, and like they didn't passionate about that, but at the time now in the political climate now, and it's like it's so profoundly different where people don't trust the government, they don't trust, you know, these actual vaccines just because of how blatantly obviously like these government and ruling class politicians and corporate elite are like lie. So they do feel distrust from their own government now, I think more than ever, and that's just showing really. And you know, I myself, I why would you trust it? You know what I mean? What do you make of that argument? You know, just the vaccine situation, just getting that alone. Because realistically, what should we be doing, Ryan? Should we be telling people to get the vaccine? Should we be telling them not? You know, the conspiracy theorists if they don't, or is there something like a middle ground there that we should like consider? You know, it reminds, like, I remember Ryan out with one of the local boys and that, and it blew my mind actually that they managed to have this analysis, because I considered it for a second, like, in all seriousness, and what they said was, it was on the news that they were going to give all of these vaccines, there's millions there, and they're going to give them to, like, the elderly and the most vulnerable, like, first. And his response to that was, from obviously, a bit of introspective look, was, yeah, they're going to give it to them first. They're going to give it to the elderly first because they're going to die first. So you're not really going to see the full effects that tests would have shown for like several years of experiment. So maybe the giving these them as test subjects. That's kind of what he was getting with that statement. What do you reckon of that? Yeah, that's true. And what I think of was a recent speech, the Queen's speech, where she was saying this pandemic, and she was like filmed like a wartime movie, like Hitler's like on at the gates, you know what I mean? And it's like we're going through the same like desperate like hope situation, just like all of those where like we're gonna be on rations and people were panic buying and all of this is like when I'm in Wales and it's a read it, it's like wartime, Ryan, because it's just on the shelf, people are panic buying everything, right? So the Queen's like looking at it, she's portraying it like that, but at the same time, it's the action to distribute all of these vaccines and to actually, protect people as the state should be doing with all of our tax money and that is like, imagine if like they dealt with Hitler and Nazi Germany in the same way that they're dealing with this COVID response, in the same way that they're comparing this situation to that. Imagine if they really dealt with, I mean, with all the Nazis, you know what I mean, to an extent. But maybe that same ideological fascist mentality that Hitler and Nazi Germany represented in those times just simply perpetuate throughout all of Western civilization just through various means. So what would happen if that happened? Are people today, right, who are Genesis? How would those people in power to use that power if they had the potential to fully like be the capitalists, so they would capitalize on every situation. They're gonna do that with COVID. Last put out in the tweet last night that these eat out the hell schemes were to get like poor these people who go out and get like these meals, target them, and then give them more COVID and action because it's genuine that we're going to talk about the numbers. Bring up just how much like eugenicist history there is. like Democrats and social Democrats. So, is that really, you know, we're trying to talk about these things. We don't want to over exaggerate. We do want to look at all of these factors, and then when these things arise, we can look for these clues to see whether it is a continuation of eugenics, or whether people are trying to mean well, or whether for some reason it's just a lack of resources and capitalism and business was doing absolute best. You can't even say that, but I don't know anymore. Obviously completely back in it. But we talk about all of these things, and like, like empowering, but maybe it's not. Yeah, maybe no, a sec. Maybe the extreme ideologically, things like history, or like, mm, or like getting a couple of individuals. So I'm going to talk about is how do you themselves as fashion. could have maybe reacted with fascism, autism just generally developed through the electoral sphere or anything of that nature. States working with corporations, and these corporations have stepped, and played with this during COVID. Not just states have people, people in isolated place, go to the, certain people are isolating, but talking about it, McDonald's says corporation only exists for exploitation, the way for pay minimum wage, and catching this for the people who that we're going to wear this out. So, like, just for like a flipping cheeseburger, what's like also and saying what we're going to keep doing and all that, and it's like, well, I don't know what natural, like, or something, but to the place that it would welcome to this that you make it involve that businesses and companies, and in fact, after this talk, the relationship in the middle class, the rural class, what they make, like, it's just like, or which this will be doing your living with this is anything where with it away, fashion this is inspiration as well. So there's no need to stay from the camera. We know like the people are that the in like really skills for work but what's the way on young old things how long strenuous like 60 bottles like alcohol or like 8 packs of bottles of things on top of themselves all day long. I was like completely young people it didn't down, you can get like half an hour break. I'm seeing more species that job from this page because like when we try like job and specific any contact. So that's the thing though, man. Sometimes coffee in a month or two. So this the play what this people and like always work with this like a bit of game. So it's actually a so that it's didn't have don't have this good mark. So like when I know like the actually actual mark where we sell they're not well like at store you got that they're gonna be and then that role markets and the people losing businesses, people that's in there who take on it. So, but like it's only like build a company and that's the plan. With like contract to build military base where and whatever all these classes and portions they need to be with seeing this essential. But the actual people are businesses just even the power completely. Yeah, forced to come and realize okay, but they think people here the back to do people turn up to say the bad businesses that were doing good just working with me on a little pedal. It's mad. It was mad. And that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about the working all by middle class, like the whole role. Families that take full business will have business go on and is getting 100% of where people say this now. It's back down at the time when they businesses and I know businesses and know isn't turned isn't turning on to it marketing side then and turning correctly. This is like some kind of talk about news and call and exploring parts on it. Although when the these businesses also actors of business as a corporate it was already I mean before COVID and whilst at the same playing centre, you know, they post their business and like ask people, but they can't even business because even the lockdown, you know, people are doing over lockdown and they see having like children people and you don't know what I don't think that you recognize it. This is private sector is children sector start a bit more the point of it all with you. Well, I'd say though, Ryan, like I agree with much of what you said, but what I'm saying is these places aren't just allowed to stay open. What I'm saying is they are fundamentally being solidified as the foundations and even the base or even the superstructure of society. So, and why is that? That's because those ruling class people, as you said, when there's that contradiction where they want, you know, whether the rent to be high so that they can do this. But at the same time, these ruling class people are looking at Jeff Bezos and that, and there's contradictions there between them where they're willing to give up, you know, or they're willing to empower Jeff Bezos and Amazon and make it part of the Bezos infrastructure, you know, as an example, because they've got fingers in different pies. They've probably got, so many different toy companies. They've got stocks in this and stocks in one. And all of those businesses which have got stocks in are probably going to be sold over Amazon. So works, but all of these products where all of these stocks where it's made from plastic, anything that's made from plastic is coming from an oil firm. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that simple. So like if you've got stocks in oil, which is probably what we're talking about, everything that's made from oil is like the people who have got stocks in oil profit from that plastic, whatever it is, anyway, they profited from it because it has to be bought, this material from that resource, and it is extracted again through an imperialist, victim abroad. So, yes, so that dynamic of some being like, led into ruling class, I'm like becoming actual member of the state and just serving us through Amazon, just as we expect ladies to serve us in school, because that's just a part of our natural culture, our life now. This is what capitalists are saying. You go to another nation, like your country, they're going to say, we're for Amazon. Do you know what I'm saying? So this Amazon has become so much of Western civilization. And I mean, not just like, I'm talking about like just culturally. I'm not even talking about economically and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, all of these things are combined, and they're gonna back certain businesses. These businesses will become a part of our state. I don't see them ever losing that power. I don't ever see anybody being able to compete against Jeff Bezos. I don't. I think that everybody's goal in life now is going to be to sell things on Amazon because it's that monopolized. I don't think, we talk about when the internet come out and, the high street died so much, like not just the high street style, but even the concept of having a market before it could ever have been on the high street is gone. The high street now is Amazon. The high street now is, all these other corporations. Nikon, Banksy for the follow there, appreciated. So, this merger of the state and fascism, this is what we're looking at right now, I think, and this is what the history books are going to be. Is when Amazon, all these things become just as integrated as the state and our lives as the church do. But I do want to move on from this subject, but I think we should fundamentally fundamentally underline what you just said there. That's the capitalism. Um, it's basically corporations taking over. It's the middle class losing all of their power and being grateful to even be like working class in their work when they just had like a middle class job and now they're flipping, the wage slave working with me. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then even that eugenics side, we considered what the eugenicist would be making of this situation. We considered whether that is ongoing. Again, more research is needed. Okay, so there was fascism and COVID. What do you make this situation in the United States, or have you got another topic? Yeah. obviously. Mm, love, love. I would say for people that think evolution, me and you have me and you have touched upon this base, haven't we? When Trump would would consider like a revolution, but and I guess like John goes something just thinking about this, what the consumer advice. But what I was actually thinking was, who a lot of people. Let me just say that I didn't know that Trump told everybody to go and march in the Capitol. Seen, a lot of like tweets on it, people comment on it, but that's like overlooked. The Trump actually said go and do this. But what they've shown is the spectacle of the right wing fascists who are fighting for America and are fighting for their rights, their freedoms and all of that. That's showing you them, capture territory against the state. And that's like insane because we all know that like if it was like leftists that have just got like sniped fast, you know what I'm saying? That they got up an 8 minute run on them like without having hesitation. So the fact that they're learning and then now people is this is like revolutionary. When we talk about independent is revolutionary, being stripped of its revolutionary potential, it comes to me, I was like, what if it was actually gonna be like a revolution and like, us just that built the class consciousness so much so that the people knew the terms of revolution and like with these like tapes and enough so that when someone else come along and does like this, like those fascists the other day, they it's the revolution actually taking place because you don't know the difference between like fascism and all that shit. But like it really come like it was just it was a mad thought, but it was the thought that if we ever get so close to actually taking over capitalism, would they orchestrate their own revolution to be successful? Because if you look at the American Revolution, are both of those, could you consider both of those sides revolutionaries? In some way, they were because it was against Britain and it was against the crown. Do you know what? So, I mean, you disagree, tell me why. But it's like a sword, those, because it's like you've still got that confederate thing from like the past, and they're still pushing their ideas, and everybody talking about liberty or freedom, but you know, it's bullshit with left or right with progress, but nothing going. No, what I'm saying is though, if you knew that like the people wanted a revolution and you were the capitalist power, and you could simply just orchestrate a revolution just in the same way that you orchestrate a coup, you know, would the people going to be pacified? Would they think, ha, there's been this revolution, we can sit down? You know what I mean? It's like, obviously, you know, it's just, I'm just imagining shit here, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were to do that, is to orchestrate a revolution just at the right time, just to neutralize people's actual revolutionary spirit, in the same way that like they had to bring out Bernie Sanders and they had to like get Bernie Sanders to run, so the people thought that like the America was being progressive. That would never be enough, because people truly turned their nose up on electoral politics so much that if Bernie Sanders or anybody as that progressive in American politics couldn't even, like the people wouldn't even buy into it, like they shouldn't have bought into Bernie Sanders, but they did. So what if, you know what I'm saying? What if like if they can't affect, or if they can't like dissuade people from revolting through electoralism, or through bourgeois voting, then would they not orchestrate their own coups within their own territories and call them revolutions? Like, is that really beyond possibility? I don't think so, but I mention it because you know, because I do think that it's a possibility. People should look out for that shit. And the point again is, people are already believing it, because you told me that people think that that was a revolution. So that's just me not like bringing it out. You know what I mean? That's what people are saying. So what would the purpose of that? Would these people? What I'm saying is, here's a question. So those people who did storm that Senate, and some people are calling them revolutionaries, would that has that been orchestrated, or is that just a random consequence? Is that, do you think? Okay. So, well, tree, yeah, dictionary, wine. This is that must be saying that shit, and I was like, I ain't that important. Like, that was really cool. We're not per se like that. On that point, then people are getting that, and I was getting this and it, you know, so just people say, and I'm saying, no, we need to like, we don't know that I'm saying no shit. So it's like, we're not that everything but progress. But again, you're out there saying, now that you can see, just, I don't know, that's really cool. Even understand that is shit, social democratic, liberal, like, you know, and I mean, we have left and left, all that, because when this is left, and you know, people are right wing, right wing, or like, right wing, part of the way, anytime revolutionary, the social system, communist, is that we're left wing. Synthetic, not left wing, are the liberal, you know, the libertarians who are the democratic socialists, you know, that's your kind of, so that was not, so it's not that reclaiming, it's not in the, so there's so there's someone who's saying, and you know what I'm saying? Ethics that some people aren't will do, because how these words are placed amongst each other, and like, you know, so it's wrong, you know, and so people like yourself are suspicious because people misunderstand it. So they would just say left wing or not right wing, and we're dialecticians or like yeah, no. What I'm saying left wing, that's why I just literally not left wing, but not right wing progress, just because you can't say what you just said to random person on the street. Pretends, you know what I mean? You're talking about the between and subset of never heard, and that's the problem. It's not about that or the right or the name. It does take education, and people do need to educate. When we're talking about engaging with people, I mean, maybe like or something, or something like that's the position to go on. But like, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, educated on what? What's your education get you to just more explicit than right wing distinction? I know what both these labels and we are told that we know the electoral system this out of like seriously and get it down like I know what people voting and to arguing over it and argue over it but the politics we should be talking about revolutionary politics and we have to be this definitely and what I would say Ryan is you're absolutely right in this to mine thought about like about students and like you know university formats and that formats you were out there saying similar shit talking about like the so and so percentage of so and so percentage that trade and like the good old statistics the information I was educated like colleges and you do that education for people who've been taken what the new weren't related to that. But there's a lot of people, and again, I'm talking about like young lads or even just the uneducated some workers. Like they don't, it's not, it doesn't matter to them. It's never going to matter to them. It's not how they do their lives. It's not going to affect like anything previously in their life. But it's abstract to them. So it's so like the educated be engaging people like that. Education, important for people who are like educated people like myself to, just get because it can be just bad, you know what I mean? And bad terms is just as is anyway, it's easy to do. But I think definitely roles they're one of the things for educated comment and the lumpen class and all of that shit. We should be tackling the messages of class conscious are different. But yes, it's true that we all have to be switched on to what's going on through electoral politics, make observations and all of that, and maybe just to increase the chance to get it. But at the same time, about left wing, right wing, and the distinction between, I think a lot of the times is largely impractical because not right from this left or right wing perspective because it's related only for electoral politics. So we have to talk revolution. That the same thing right? We don't think people like that they know these politics. Call people who, if you in like so and so place or United States or so place and then talk like how in have like raised the price of so and so. They don't know what the electoral politics is. They've never heard of. I mean, they don't even know like where countries are like global politics. Arguing against education, but I'm arguing against teaching this or you teaching concepts which are so concepts are only to compete because it's bourgeois. Like we I think it's impossible to have a revolution without engaging in bourgeois politics. I mean, of course it is, because we're not going to win a revolution in bourgeois politics. But you know what, Ryan? That's why so much division had some revolutionaries. Why like there's anarchists, all of this, and it's because of still about who's left who. I think people bringing up political because every single revolutionary needs to be saying, well, no, you can't. I mean, that people have to set with confidence that a lot of people out there, they are not going to take so much on the left wing, on the right wing, because I have to teach them what the right wing is, because they've never been taught about politics, they've never even watched that news to know all this shit. And why the education is important is that because if you say labor, and so we can't even have to spend with our family, and then when we do, after like 8, 9 days, what it all can do is have like a little beer and then do the same shit again. We can have a little family, and that's enough for the people to understand. And if you do say this, as you said, the education so far, but sinks in, and then you tell the person, then you work it down, and if you do, you know, what Sky News or you do culture, you will, you know, how communist might be extremely left wing, so that's where the education is, so that they, like, so they don't buy into propaganda. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. That's where, you know, that's where it's really about when supposed revolutionaries are spending time talking about electoral politics and then arguing electoral politics with the comrades. I think I think that that's productive. I think that it's you know, rich of electoral politics. Well, but I mean, yeah. I mean, we could have had an audience who are electoral politics and talk about Bernie Sanders and AOC like Labour and that. But we're saying, no, we should have the people who go to jail and we should be admitted so that we can tell someone else that for actually doing some real revolutionary shit, maybe something along the lines of Fred Hampton on this platform and like really radicalizing them, really pissing them off, agitating them, and shut the streets. I mean, they're not going to get furious by talking about politics, and the fury is going to be directed back into electoral politics. I just can't do it. I mean, it's just, do it. No, if we're going to do it, we need to go into electoral politics. We need to these labour organisations and we need to be in lead. We're talking about people within these organisations. What good is it? We're not even party members. And we're talking parties to people who aren't even party members within the party. What good is it other than the satisfying needs, stuff with entertainment? You know what I'm saying? Again, we should be agitating. So just load to the user, command and root Steam elements. So this is in the chat. What do you think? Do you think the episodes can be to maybe need a bit of a inspiration to get away from podcasts, or do you think that we should focus on bullshit? So yeah, obviously we should do it, of course. if we can, if it does radicalise people through electoral politics, that's what we need to do. And we just need to be tackling the the right line of the right line. Obviously, if we don't tackle these problems, then what we have is like fascist in the U.S. Senate, and then people being thinking revolutionaries. Yeah, we just need to be good at education and then teaching them vocabulary and language that are going to be used to neutralize any actual real revolutionary potential, even become opportunists and reactionary for any actual, activity that's revolution. So, honestly, that's all politics, but so-called leftists is like, honestly, this thing is like, it's like it knocks, knocks I mean, actually, and put people on there, like, we got a load of people having Twitter, somebody with like 20,000 followers that like, words like was Revolutionary Lumpen Radio on Twitter, and I was like, it didn't even hit me. So I was like, what that now? Like, so I basically said something that she got like brigade by so many followers just say all of this. Who's all of us, we all knew, knew what it was about, and we knew what we like, and we were going to do, we like, and giving me all this shit. But I was just like arguing with them, and the tweet, the podcast, and to listen to them, and I'm just like, I mean, why would you even say it? Because it's even that bad, you know what it means? You know, mad like that, but it's ironical, like, that's it's just so much harder than released to it all which is how I know that the same so it really blows my mind how that is quicker. It's hard not like that official Twitter account make for Revolutionary Lumpen Radio. It's hard because you can put saying the swear saying that it's in real life outside. You don't bully them. So you could probably still be the highest in the world. Feedback. Hello? You back? We back? Subsequent has to why first time on Twitch people were letting years what? Can you hear me? So yeah, so why do you need to hear yourself? Oh okay, we back. Kill. Welcome to. Okay. What's going on? Ryan, we should be good, bro. Can anybody hear us? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Phone is back. You should be back. Shouldn't be a problem. I am So, device, talk, talk, everybody out there, yeah. What? My assessment will lie. Okay, so,
Kevin?
you know what? I'm fully believe you there, boom, gone. And then hopefully you can get your back right now. Was captured. I believe. What did they do, everybody? Do you know what I tried to do? I tried to be clever, try and get civilization up here so we could just have an output game with chilling. You know, Ryan, welcome back. I hope everybody can hear you. I'll try and get a video on you now. You should be back. I don't know what the difference is though. Yeah, I can hear you in Discord, that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be a problem, I can literally hear exactly what's going on. Fine, I don't know what to do, probably just have to it's broken. Okay, so that was it. It wasn't even a bad stream. I reckon it was alright. It was just a shame that nobody could like hear anything from me. But nah, that should have just been recent because we were talking about it. I was like, I could see like in the desktop audio while like, it bounced when we were talking. So I well, it stopped working now. Just not like using OBS, it might be driving audio from only one source. That's me. That's my mic and audio. I'm doing your desktop and audio. Let me just wait. I'm gonna sort it. Right, so your voice and audio output, speakers, RTX voice. So I'm going to go onto this now where you are, and then I'm going to select it so that it's RTX voice in there on the output. Right, talk.
Okay, let me see now.
We're back, Ryan. We back, Bo. We back.
Are we though?
We should be.
Okay, yeah, we are, apparently. I don't know how much we missed, honestly.
Sorry about everybody that I was goddamn wasting everybody's goddamn time, but look, we're going to make it up to you, Ryan. Revolutionary politics right now. What do we need to see from the left? I mean, we're all doing this online talk, and we're all spending goddamn all day, and thanks Banksy and everybody else. Nice one. Have you got anybody else? Have you got any ideas?
Honestly, I like this, like, GLHF pledge. I was talking about it before, but, like, I have no idea what that was, and I've, like, only just seen it, and I went to the, like, I clicked on it, and, you know, it went through to the website. I've just never seen that before.
Send us a link.
You can just click on the GLHF pledge on the little icon next to Gulthoniel's name. It's like a GLHF pledge. It goes through to any key. I've just never seen that before. It's cool, though.
GLCO pledge.
Yeah, the GLHF
check you out, my mate.
We can keep chatting about whatever you want. I mean, apparently, right? I just went on Twitter right now, and apparently we're now at 4 people died. What the fuck are you doing?
How do I do it? See, where's this? What do you mean this pledge?
You see their name in the chat?
Yeah.
There's an icon. No, up. Not that far up. Like in the chat, next to what they've typed in chat.
In the chat?
Yeah. Go up. Up. Okay, yeah. Yeah, their name there. Yeah. On the left of it, there's like a little icon.
Okay, we are.
Click that, GLHF pledge. And it like opens another website I've never seen before, like any key. Apparently, that's cool. I just never heard that before. But yeah, apparently, I'm just looking up on Twitter now. It says 4 people died ultimately in this Capitol thing. There were pipe bombs and apparently a pickup truck full of Molotov cocktails. And this whole thing's weird. I don't know how this is going to affect the whole like anarchist narrative. Because I don't know if anyone else was doing this yesterday, but I watch a fuck ton of like mainstream news just to see like what they're doing, and it's really weird. But yesterday they were calling anarchists, right? Like people storming the Capitol, they were calling them anarchists, and now they're finding Molotov cocktails, which are obviously like a stereotypical weapon of anarchists. So it's getting weird. Like I don't know if it's just because people had petrol in hand or whatever. Like I don't really know what the thing is here. But there were also pipe bombs at the DNC and RNC, right? So,
oh yeah,
it's just weird.
I know. I heard the same thing. Pipe bombs. Like, what are you talking about there, man?
Yeah,
this was like to hear. Was the carnage? What happened?
Yeah, there were unexploded pipe bombs found at the DNC and the RNC, and they like safely detonated them. But I've like just refreshed it right now, and apparently they found There's conflicting reports. Like some people are saying there was a cooler full of Molotovs, like a fridge full, and some people are saying there's a pickup truck full. So I don't know. Maybe there was like a pickup truck with a cooler in it or something. So somehow both of the stories are true. But the last time I checked, only 1 person had died, and now it says 4 people have died.
Fancy they're suspiciously attractive, because there was that time where like people saw them 3 models like the Black Panthers and they were there with the guns and all that when George Floyd happened, and I was looking at it and I was like, these are sexy, do you know what I mean? I was like, these are goddamn fit, and I was like, hold on, this is liberal shit, I can't be saying that, these are comrades, and I'm just seeing them as like sex objects or something. But obviously it's a natural impulse. These are goddamn like super attractive, that's why they're like supermodels, do you know what I'm saying? So I think that might be what Banksy's getting, is like they do use like actors, or you know, they can be used even to make like political statements or to push forward like political like agendas, or just like organizations and shit, you know what I'm saying? What do you make of that? Do you reckon that to be actors?
I mean, I don't know, because all of this is going to depend ultimately on...
Hold on, like I'm being black. Look, the chat's blowing me away here. One guy tased himself to the balls to death.
That requires a level of confidence that I'm kind of impressed with.
Confidence or imagination? Like, how do you get to that point to even think, I tased me goddamn balls?
That's almost impressive. Like, I'm almost impressed at the resolve that takes. Like, there's no way I would be able to do that. It's a little bit impressive. Like,
What did he do it for? Why did he tase his balls?
I'm loving this. Now we've got
What?
chatting to us. This is getting way better.
Why did he tase his balls?
Let's not end this stream soon, because now we've got chatting to us. We're getting going. Let's go. Same fellow was also urging the Venezuelans to storm their parliament. Oh, yes, I think I know who you're talking about, right? There was like a congressman or something. What was his name? Chris Murphy, right? Chris Murphy. He was talking about like, we're not this. This isn't what we do. And then right by that, there was a tweet of him saying like, I support Guaido. Like, storm the parliament. Take the. It's just like, he was trying to take a painting down and tased himself in the balls to death. That is a level of absurdity that makes me think we live in a simulation. Imagine dying that way.
The autopsy, like the person in the autopsy who's like gotta confirm that he killed. Like, oh my god, what world are we living in?
The buffalo headdress from the picture. Who was like in the chamber? He was like stood or sat at the Senate seat. I think I know who you mean. The dude with the like Indian style. Yeah, that dude. That is hilarious though, with the dude that tased himself to death. Like, you know when like people are in prison, they always say like, you shouldn't ask what you're in there for. Like, imagine if there's an afterlife when you die and someone asks you like, what are you in for? And you're like, oh, I sort of tased myself in the balls to death.
But I mean, it's not even like that crazy compared to like what else we see like going on really. Like should we look at the news and comment on some news, Ryan, some tunes?
Yeah, do it. Let's just keep it going. I mean, before the whole tech issue thing, we were talking about Elon Musk, right, being the richest person in the world now. Apparently,
follow a few tweets and we'll get to this source to see what the heck is going on here.
You can follow a few tweets.
I don't think it's funny at all that a MAGA guy accidentally tased himself in his own balls until he died while stealing a painting of Thomas P. Tip O'Neill from a hallway.
They say life imitates art, but I don't really think that was what they were getting at.
If you're gonna loot something, why would you steal one of a kind painting? What would you plan on doing with it? Hang it in the garage? That's like Mr. Bean shit. Like, if you ever seen like the Mr. Bean film where he robs that painting.
That's what I'm saying. It's a sketch. It's a sketch. Like it,
yeah,
like
it is. That's happened.
Yeah,
that's where they got this idea from, Mr. Bean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Life imitates art. Like the idea that, like, if you'd have told me that happened, I'd think that was like an episode of SNL or some shit. Did you see the video of the woman that got shot in the neck? Dude, that was crazy. I actually have no idea what you can and can't do or say on Twitter, on Twitch. So I'm definitely not going to talk about that woman that got shot in the neck. Moscow's promoted as being the richest.
Quit after mob storms, US.
Huh. Yeah, that's actually probably a good point. Like, because when they talk about like the rich lists, they contact each of them, and you can choose to not be included on the rich list. So I'm sure that there's actually like a ton of people that are richer, but they just stay in the shadows. They never see the limelight. They never talk to news stations. No one knows their name. They're just there in the background with all the money, and you don't even know their name. That's probably what it is.
You see, so the POTUS account is still President Trump, though. And that's what I don't think he's ever going to give it. I think he'll change the password on that account, and he'll never give the password for this POTUS account to Biden. I think that Trump's just never going to give it up, and he'll keep it as like the 45th. He might even change that to 46th President of the United States of America.
They'll just go to Twitter and get them to turn it over.
But I just thought we'll look at it just to see his response on Twitter, at least, to what's going on. I am asking for everybody at US Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are a party of law and order, respect the law, and the great men and women in blue. Like, I mean, how did it's just blow? I mean, it's all bullshit, all of this. Like,
it's just hilarious that like all these fact checkers are turning up saying that yes, the images from the insurrection have links to far-right movements. It's just hilarious. Like, imagine your job is a fact checker, and what's my assignment today? You know all those people that stormed the Capitol? Yeah? Are they right-wingers or not? Yes, they are. Okay. Like, it's just the dumbest, easiest shit. Like, imagine being Sherlock Holmes.
You know what? I need to close loads of windows, man.
I didn't want to think it's funny, but that did it. Turns out the woman in the video that was shot was an Air Force veteran and security expert. Yeah, I saw that as well. She was a 14-year vet or something, which makes it even stranger because I've seen the video. Like, if you see the video, there's basically a load of terrorists on one side, and then there are double doors, and then behind those double doors is like the inner area of the Capitol where people like Mike Pence are being kept and stuff, and they're literally saying like, "Don't cross this, like, don't come through here," and then she like jumps up on it, and the dude just boom, just one round straight through her neck.
Is that the video you sent me? And what are people talking about getting shot? I didn't know nobody got shot.
Yeah, definitely.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. One, definitely, but apparently I've heard that it says here 4 people are dead now. So I only knew of one, but apparently it's 4. But we definitely can't watch the video on stream. I might have sent it to you, but you cannot play it either way. I don't know if I did send it to you or not. It was on.
Back me because I'm probably having struggling.
Yes. Oh no, not that video. No, not that video. Cool. But it was the same day as that. But I can show you the video. In fact, do you want me to send you the video? You can watch it not on stream.
Is this the one where they go through the doors?
That's not the video. It's a different one. I'm talking about the video where she gets shot. But you can't show it on stream. But if I was to send it to you, you could watch it, just not on stream, because we'd be taken down so easy.
Phone us back because I'm proper struggling understanding you because the signal's shit. That's talk.
What's up? We good now? Is this fixed it or nah?
No, it's still shit. Probably just my internet though.
Okay. Do you want to see the? Because we absolutely cannot show the video on Twitch. There's like a 0% chance of that.
0 chance of what?
You can't show it on Twitch. There's no chance.
That's what, like, that is just like, oh, like, so what? They're smashing this door, and then what they got into here? Who were they shooting? Did they shoot people before they were before they were smashing this door, or did they shoot somebody after it?
Okay, I found.
And that's on video where like the actual shooting.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Where like the person got a flipping blasted.
Yes, I'm watching it right now. Like, it's just basically, there's like a load of people.
Oh, Ryan, god damn it. And we can't stream it, can we? Because it
no.
on Twitch.
You can't stream someone getting murdered. No. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can send you the video, but you would absolutely have to watch it not on stream. But yeah, basically, there's just a load of people that are they're like banging on a double door. And on the other side, there's like Secret Service or police or, I don't know who they are, but they're Secret Service, they're police, they're someone. And you see this dude with a handgun, and he just rounds the corner, and he just lets one off, and you see her like fall off the. Yeah, it's not a like.
Okay, but
it's out there. I can send it to you, but I just can't show it to you, obviously, on stream.
So, National Guard to remain active. Elon Musk is now the richest person in the world. George Floyd trending again.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, if George Floyd was, murdered for doing literally nothing, and these people got to storm the Capitol, and I mean, duh, that makes sense, right? To be honest, it was a good shot. Oh, I hear you, kind of. I mean, I get it. It was I guess
Why?
it kind of shows like.
Was she moving, or was
I
she
mean, she was
she
like,
doing like cartwheels and doing backflips and just
nah. I mean, he sort of like rounds the corner and waits before, so that there's no one behind her, and he like steps out of cover, and then just lets one off, and then sort of ducks back.
Why? Was she armed as well, or was it like
Nah,
fat? No, so it wasn't even
no,
like there
but
was like a firefight. It was literally just like
yeah,
her
no,
just
it was literally just
getting clipped in
yeah,
a job.
yeah. Because there are these double doors, and it's like the inner sanctum of the Capitol. That's like the area where all the Congress people are being held and kept and everything. And the security, like in the video, says like you absolutely cannot come through here. Get back! Don't do this. And then she like climbs up onto the door, and nah, they're not having it, right? Like that, the security's
So
not playing.
what happened after the shooting like occurred? Like what was the
Oh,
response of the people around it? And Gilithonial auto mods held
it
that message for profanity, so I'm not even gonna post it because we're only new. I don't want to get banned immediately.
yeah, it sucks. Like the video sucks. Like she gets shot and then she like falls to the floor, and everyone like follows around, like crowds around her, and you can see that she's like crazy, bleeding out of her neck. And I get it, like she's a Trump supporter and she shouldn't have been there and all that jazz, but like, man, like imagine being like an Air Force vet for 14 years and then like you die in the Capitol trying to install Trump and overturn an election. Like that's kind of insane. But yeah, she just
Really, really though.
I mean,
And
it's tough because like yeah, I get it. She's a Trump fan and everything, but like, ugh, it sucks.
but
Generally.
hold on, hold on, hold on.
What's up? What's up?
So Trump's supporter, who are like fascists, stormed the
Yes.
Senate, which is ruled under Trump's, presidency, and then shot a member of the state. Is that what
No,
happened?
she was just like a she was a member of the public.
Oh yeah, but why would like Trump's? So the shooters weren't Trump supporters.
I don't know if the shooter was a Trump supporter. He was just security. He's like Capitol security. He's just there to protect like the
Oh,
public building.
he did. I'm thinking some of these flipping the people who stormed, flipping the Senate was the one doing the shooting.
No, they got
Oh,
shot.
oh, where would I be without people? Don't even listen to me; just listen to him. But no, I'm asking the questions to get to the truth. Yeah, that's mad thing. So we'll probably get like a promotion in that, won't he?
Oh, I have no idea. It's really strange. Like there's a lot of like dynamics. I mean, it's really weird when you're seeing like Blue Lives Matter crowd like fighting with police and then getting shot by police, and they're the guys with like Blue Lives Matter flags, and it's just like the whole thing is a nightmare.
Yeah, no, I reckon he'll end up with a nice place in like FBI or like somewhere like that. To be honest.
Yeah, they were. They were either Secret Service or Capitol Security. I don't know who they were, but yeah, he was security for sure. Like he had a badge and he was like had a uniform. Like he was supposed to be there. He wasn't just like some random asshole from the street.
Okay, so I'm just gonna scroll through YouTube and then see what we've got going on here, because we'll look at like see what like other comrades have been posting and what like other people are like talking about. So uh, Paul Modern, he's like a big half popular dude on Twitter. Have you seen much of Paul Modern?
Yeah, I know that. I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on the show, won't we? We'll talk about there were no either Secret Service, no plod, no busies, no plod, no Secret Service or Capitol Security. See, so what? we keep talking about it, and then the more we talk about it, it seems like dead suspicious. Like, why would they not be like security in that? I mean, you're telling me that they never knew that these people were planning for it. I mean, they bring in all like the Patriot Act after like they do 9/11, and then what, they don't even bother to actually use the Terrorism Act and all of that to like spy on people for terrorism. Again, no, but if these were like Muslims or something, they would have defo like cracked down on them dead fast, wouldn't they? But what, you know what I'm saying? Are these people just acting and then the state's not acting, or are the actors of the state?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not entirely sure who it was that shot them, right? But either way, they were like some sort of official, some sort of Capitol security. So, I mean,
So yeah, Caledonians saying that they themselves are probably Secret Service or Capitol Security, but
yeah.
I mean, have you seen the state of some of these people though? Like, I mean, absolute. I mean, what is it? We're going late stage imperialism now, and there was a funny little post about it. Yeah. Oh, the shooter was a busy. I know, little rat. But I mean, like, there wasn't a substantial force of busies or like plod round there, was there? There wasn't much police, so there certainly wasn't enough to like obviously keep them out of it. But yeah, this is what we're talking about with some of the
Well,
people
they let them
who went in.
The
Like,
police let them in, right? The police literally like opened the barriers and led them inside.
what?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the police are on their side. The police let them in. The police removed the barriers. They opened the doors for them. They let them in. Yeah, there's no doubt about it, right? Like this is what I was talking about earlier about like that's why the police side with them because they understand that, you know, the right wing's not a threat to capital, it's not a threat to the state, it's not a threat to the police. You know, they sympathize with these people. They take pictures with them. They sign autographs with them. They're pally, friendly. You know, everyone's seen like, even at like BLM protests and everything, people have seen like the Proud Boys and the police. They're, you know, chatting it up, taking pictures, trading autographs. I mean, the police, there was even this one video of the police telling Proud Boys, like, you can go here, we'll let you move here, but don't go here. We'll be coming down this street. You need to be over here. So they're organizing with them essentially, right? And that's not surprising for anyone who understands that, you know, essentially paramilitary forces perform a function within the state that capital can't or won't. And
So
that's ultimately what you get.
okay. So again, what's next? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, what, you
Like,
just want to run through topics? I mean, at this point, I'm like trying to see how these other people died, because apparently there was, the last I heard was that one person died, and that was, you know, the woman that got shot. And now it's saying 4 people died. So I'm trying to figure out. Oh wow, I'm literally watching a video now where someone
what?
threw a Molotov. Someone threw a Molotov at his own feet, and he's like dancing when his feet are on fire, and he's like running off like a.
Yeah, the same loyalist paramilitaries in Northern Ireland. I can't wait to do this next series. We're going to start like a UK tour where we'll do like 4 or 5 comrades from Ireland. Wait one sec.
We can just hop around the aisles if you want. Like we can look at Scotland, and we can look at Ireland. You can look at Wales. Like we could do that.
There's so much of like. Right, it's on this little book here, right? We'll do a UK and Ireland tour. We'll start off with Zanzi, who's also a Twitch streamer.
Can I link things in the chat? Like, if I was to link to certain Twitter, like, they can't ban you for that, right?
No, definitely not. Come on.
Dude,
go ahead, post
in
the chat for the firm. Post them for the Vanguard.
I will. But apparently it was a BLM protester or something. But like he threw a Molotov at his own feet, and it's kind of funny. Like if you look at like how he runs away, like he's like trying to kick the fire off of his feet. And it's pretty fun.
Is this what we're watching? You know what? If we record this and put this out as a podcast, it's not going to be very fair on people because they're going to be missing out on all this action.
Well, the VOD gets.
Oh anyway. Snap! It's on my screen. I was streaming it. Nearly then.
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what you can and can't show. Like, can you show fire on Twitch or no? Can you show? Yeah, it's real. It's real. It's as far as I can tell, that's real. Like, it's yeah. I don't know if he was a BLM protester, like people are saying he was. I don't know if it was. But either way, like that sort of cartoonish run to the left-hand side of the screen is hilarious, let's be real. Like even if it is a BLM protester, like suck it up, dude. Like you took the L right there. Like that'll teach you to not throw Molotovs at your own feet. Yeah, like go and throw some fastballs, go and throw baseball for a little bit, like go throw some footballs. Like but it is a funny gif, let's be real. Like it is hilarious to see the dude just like running off screen with his come on, it's funny. Funny is funny. Like
So, yeah, so again, we just want to flip and, you know what, have you heard this? Can you hear this now? Can you hear that?
no, but definitely don't play copyrighted music. Because that definitely is.
Okay.
Have you heard the whole like DMCA thing going on with like streamers? They're like losing their goddamn mind. Because people who stream just like video games or whatever, Dota 2, um, yeah, they're cracking down on DMCA so bad. Like they can't even put their VODs up anymore just because they're listening to music and all the companies are claiming them. It's a nightmare. That's why I'm so like I don't know what you can and can't show on Twitch because
That's what I'm
they're
saying.
so
I mean,
bad
we
with
could
it
show
now.
stuff with like comrades and that because they'll make sure there's not like copyright recording and all that, but we could just like review all kinds of like madness on here, couldn't we? Like whatever everybody else is like producing and all that, we could just like stream that and just talk about it there. Like we could have, in fact, I don't know, you know, because there's certain conditions. I don't know. But I just want to go through that fast and just tell everybody what we're working on for the next, in the future, because obviously this is a Twitch stream, so this has been good to like practice some of the thoughts, like especially earlier on before people
We should do
joined
more
us.
of
We
these.
did, yeah, we will. I mean, we'll do more, and hopefully we'll connect with a lot more of other Twitch streamers as well, and then get, like share some of these ideas that we've had, and as well as other ideas with Twitch streamers. But in the future, we're gonna like be speaking with like at least 5 comrades from Ireland. We're gonna have Zanzi on talking revolutionary nationalism. We'll have the Connolly Youth Movement. Imagine us talking to the Connolly Youth Movement. This is, you know, Irish group like revolutionaries out there doing amazing work that everybody's always like, you know, saying we should look up to. And that we're gonna be speaking to them. So look forward to that. Capitalism is a goddamn nightmare. Like it's a daymare. And it's a nightmare, it's a daymare, it's a middaymare, it's a... even if you're in space and you can't even measure time, it's a mare of sorts. So, but yeah, Dave from Radical Reflections, we're going to be talking to that comrade. We'll be maybe talking mental health or maybe just radical reflection stuff, because it's heavy talking about mental health. Paul Moran will talk to that comrade. I don't know what we'll talk to him about, but it'll be mainly Irish stuff, because we need to be learning about these Irish struggles and the Irish history, as I think that in Britain it's like yeah, of course an Irish revolutionary think that it's important to us in Britain, you know, Englishmen and that, we should be listening to those first, because we want to do a tour of England and the UK, but we really need to give them the platform first, because our history and our emancipation is so much, I think, linked to this. We can't, you know, liberate ourselves without thinking of like the Irish comrades out there and their own national struggle. If you don't agree with that concept, listen to what Zanzi says and how he puts it, or check out some of his work to explain that further. It's not meant, you know, right wing. He makes a good argument for it, that it is revolutionary and is anti-colonial, anti-imperialist.
It's also crazy if you just like look at the size of England, like because most people are in the States, and I'm sure like even most people in the chat are in the States, like you have entire states that are larger, like 10, 20 times larger than the United Kingdom. So if you actually go and look up what the size of England, like if you just go and look up the size of England, it's kind of insane to believe that like this tiny little landmass had an empire that spanned the entire globe. Because we are so small. We're tiny, like not even tiny.
It is in the sense that like that's just goes to show what technology can do, and particularly like firepower, arms, and not Ryan, think about it, so much we do attribute a lot of our like victories, successes, and colonial conquest due to our ingenuity to build these warships, or to build, the militaries and the military doctrines within them, rank fire, the infrastructure and the logistics and the actual military maneuvers, whilst with the military technology. So we say that we're amazing because of all these reasons, but a lot of it did come through okay, grow these crops for us, we'll have a good trade. Grow this cotton for us, we'll have a good trade. Oh, what? There's no fertilizer left in that soil anymore because you've been, flipping doing it without replenishing the fertilizer. Just do it over there, and eventually these people can't even fertilize the soil. Look at Africa, that's the problem now. So they have to get the clothes that are made from the cotton within Africa from soil that will become depleted and never ever re-fertilized. The soil's going to die, so that they're dependent on the flipping food, the clothes banks. I don't know if you got them in the US, but we've got them outside supermarkets. These clothes banks, they go out there to the British Red Cross, and then these, Africans in these poor, like dead poor fucking nations, or exploited nations, should I say, these are then forced to sell their labour in sweatshops for like Nike and all of that, so that they have the buttons to buy the Fruit of the Loom t-shirt that we've donated back to them after the cotton come from them, after the exploited labour of those nations and such. So that's like, what the hell was I talking about to get there?
No idea, but it just reminds me of like Thomas Sankara when he was like.
Oh no! Wait, one sec. So whilst us British say that we're amazing and that, it's because we've fucked up the soil and their means to feed themselves. They have to get rice from us from like these charity organisations. They're dependent on these charity organisations, but these charity organisations like the British Red Cross, like Children's in Need, have stocks in tobacco, have stocks in the stock market, and especially military arms and whatnot. Just search down Google, you'll come up with links. So like it's not just technology, it's not just firepower, it's the literal genocide of extrapolating the resources of their country does more than a bullet to the head any day, and it's a lot easier.
That's exactly what Sankara was talking about, right? When he, people were asking him like, where is this imperialism, right? And there's this very famous quote he has where he's like, it's the millet, it's the rice, it's in your plate, right? Because I saw a report recently about, and everyone didn't know this, but we knew this, that the quote-unquote global north actually extracts more from Africa than it gives, if that makes sense. So, that's just basic colonialism, right? Like, the biggest lie told in academia is that we live in a sort of post-colonial era. It's complete nonsense. If you look at sort of how colonialism works today, it tends to not really be the way that it used to work. So it used to just be that we would send like ships full of soldiers over there, and you're just occupied by soldiers now. But it now has like a veneer of finance capitalism today. Instead, the way they do it today is through like fiscal and monetary policy, through the IMF and the World Bank, and like giant supernatural trading blocks like the EU. That's how it works now.
Oh yeah, that's it, and why? Because they haven't got the fucking fertilizer from the fucking soil, so now they've got to get loans off the IMF, and again it's just this perpetualization. What you need money so that you can buy all of this rice and this import or these oils, so that you can transport food around your country from the agricultural areas in the land so that you can sell in the markets. You need this oil, you need this profit, and then you're not going to be able to repay us unless you allow Nike in, unless you allow Halliburton in, unless you allow Fruit of the Loom to do these workshops and then, you know, start operating as like a capitalist country, so that you can pay back those loans, or even as simple as we need to do a landfill. Or we need to get rid of some of our nuclear waste from our reactors. Here's one way in which you can pay that, in which you can pay back that bill that you owe. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's proper exploitation, and you see this shit with like Scallies and all that. If like you get into debt and that, then you at the end of the day you've got to get up to madness. You might get sent out of the way. You might go down to London and start selling heroin. To make back the debt that you literally can't owe because you're a fucking lumpen, you know what I'm saying? And that same extractive, exploitive, vicious, violent, extraction and forcing somebody to live their life in this way rather than freely is, you know, ultimately comes from this capitalist globalist ideology and shit.
Sure, like here's how it works materially. Like some people just might not understand it. They're like, I don't even understand what that means. Like giving people rice is imperialism. I don't even understand the connection here, right? Like here's how this works. There are obviously like rice producers in Africa, right? There are farmers in Africa. There are producers in Africa. There are people who, you know, grow all of those basic staple foods in Africa. Here's what we do in the West. We come over to those nations and we undercut their prices of rice. Okay? So, in other words, what that means is that there are two prices for rice in the country now. One is the more expensive one that's grown domestically in Africa, and there's the undercut price, the Western price, that we've dumped a ton of rice in, and we're going to undercut them. So now everyone in the country is going to obviously buy cheaper rice. So now when you're buying the cheaper rice, you're now dependent on that income of rice from, you know, the West. And that's imperialism. That's how it is, because now they're holding that over your head, right? If you don't sign these papers and the IMF loan, maybe we pull this food support, right? Maybe we don't feed you. You know what I mean? Like that's how this works. I mean, essentially, you're flooding a market with a product to undercut the price, therefore forcing people to be dependent on you. That's how that works.
And what? Okay, so we'll come back to fascism again. We'll come back to the relation of these states who are supposed to provide for us and make sure that we can buy these luxury amenities and these bananas and oranges and all that are coming from, like, you know, Latin American nations or Middle Eastern and all of that. So what you see is, again, when we talk about like the banana company, we talk about United Nations, you know, Fruit Company, and we talk about the stock market, is when it's like, and look at the East India Company again. So it's just an extension of the East India Company again, is these companies going over, making these deals, these contracts, so that they're legally bound to, you know, sell or produce these resources and minerals and that. So like that's businesses acting on behalf of the state and the state's banks and the World Bank, so that they can back up the United States dollar and so that they can get these, you know, luxury resources to the people, so that the people can all sniff each other's farts, you know, feeling all decadent with each other with the fucking flashy little bullshit fucking whatever it is. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's like at the core of capitalism. But we have to stress is fascism is again like the corporations are like replacing the state, and I mean we're seeing it more and more. And how this works is through racism. So when the board member of Halliburton is sitting down with President Trump and he's saying, look, we need to go in and we need this contract signed because you need their tax money and we need, you know, their resources here, and the president's not going to turn around and say, but they're not going to be able to afford it. The businessman's simply going to say, you know, we just do this, and then they just have workers to pay off this contract, and at the end of the day, how the state is going to back the corporation's contracts, or, you know, overseas, the goddamn right that if Coca-Cola if a factory in like Guatemala or somewhere shut down, a Coca-Cola factory, for a fact Coca-Cola is going to say to the US Senate, this is bullshit, we're losing out on loads of dough here, you're losing out on tax money, we need to fucking be talking to the people in charge over there. And that's when they'll go over, and then the state will act as Coca-Cola's representative, and this actually happened because Coca-Cola's had death squads, so this shit's happened, you know what I'm saying, they've had death squads so that they could continue to have business in Latin American countries, and this is perpetuated by racism because Coca-Cola sits down with the state and says, look, at the end of the day, they're just racist words, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, they're like subhuman. So like Trump and that isn't going to say, whoa, you just made a racist comment. Trump's going to laugh and say, yeah, we're amazing, we're white supremacist. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where the intervention comes in from the CIA. Yeah, because again, they're like, we're white supremacists, we're America, we're the greatest nation on earth. They're just, insert racist words. And that's how the CEOs of the corporations and these businesses, these ruling class businesses, these capitalist businesses are able to get support from the state, and it's because they are indeed racist, just like the state are, just like the white supremacists within the state are. So, again, this is why racism is important, because racism goes hand in hand with capitalism, which enables fascism. Coca-Cola has had Colombian death squads killing union leaders. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And this happens with nations anywhere. Look at Tesla. Tesla can sit on Twitter, laugh and say, we'll coup whoever we want. As at the end of his mind, in his mind, he's like, they're just brown people. They're just, not as smart as me. I'm dead smart. They should die out. And then this is what brings us back to this eugenics, where whether people like it or not, it's in this liberal bourgeois mind, bro. Fuck off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ultimately, it's just class solidarity, right? Like, ultimately, the state functions. It is a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. They're the bourgeoisie. The state does what they want, right? That's what the CIA does. That's what the FBI does. I mean, that is what the state is, right? It's the instrument for class warfare. There's no doubt about this, right? I mean, if you read Smedley Butler's War is a Racket, he has that quote at the end where he realizes that he was just like I can't even remember the quote. You can find it really easily, where he talks about just being a gangster for Wall Street. Yeah, and Smedley Butler was like he was the highest ranking general in the army at the time or something. He was the top dog, like he was the highest ranking dude. He fought many wars, blah, blah, blah. He did all that shit. And he was just like, yeah, that's what we do. Like, the Wall Street tells us, go here, we need that money, and that's what we do, right?
And he read that, like, not as a matter of fact, but, like, because it pissed him off, didn't it? It angered him that, Americans were dying, do you know what I'm saying, to an extent. And I think it probably angered him because he must have had the impression that it was for America, that it was for freedom, and it was for, protecting all that. But eventually shit hits the fan and you realise, no, I'm just like these workers, I'm just a cog to a system. And that's despite all of this traditional, intellectually, culturally, superior, nationalist ideology, which are referenced to like our colonial history as British people, do you know what I'm saying? But then when you realise, no, I'm just the East India Company, but for Wall Street, for the military industrial complex, and you realise, no, I'm just like an exploited worker for ruling class people, it's gonna piss you off, and it did, and he writ that shit. And anarcho-syndicalists, yeah, I don't know too much about that myself. I think I know so much, but again, this is why it's mentioned, Ryan mentions it, the ideology behind it's not what's important. What's important is that you're progressive. I mean, ultimately, that's what liberalism wants to stop. So I thought of this analogy the other day. and I'll mention it now. And we could probably do a closing off soon, because I don't know how long these streams could go like, but maybe if we want people to view them, and especially if it's on a podcast, then maybe we should keep it shorter. But I had this analogy. Okay, so I'll go. Thanks. No, you go first, because before I go into this analogy, well, let's see what Banky's saying. The state is just the instrument of class rule. In Cuba, it's a proletarian state that acts in the interest of the working class. Here in the UK, it acts for the ruling banking / financial / big interest. I mean, yeah.
I can go for hours. Like, literally, I could do this forever. Like, you can just give me any topic and I'll just start talking about it, honestly. Like, I'm not even really bothered, because the VOD you can cut up, right? Like, we can edit the VOD down to whatever. We can even cut it up into like different topics. You can have like the fascism topic, blah blah blah. Right? Like,
I mean, that was the main point. A lot of this was because I wanted to practice some of these thoughts for a Thumblestein recording over the weekend. But in fact, it looks like I'm going to be off work tomorrow, so we could probably record with Thumblestein. Tomorrow I'll probably send him a message on Twitter tonight. But the analogy I wanted to get at was, like, to me, like a liberal or like a social democrat, or, you know, these leftist Twitter people in the UK with the rose in the Twitter name and that. These people remind me of people who drink.
Who wants to see a dumb tweet?
Go on.
You ready for this?
Drop it.
You ready?
And then I'll get to my sick analogy.
Oh, the video audio's cut out for me numerous times, but it could just be my end. Which one of us? Like both of us, or neither of us? Or it can't be neither of us, can it? Both of us, or just one of us?
Okay, so you can't fight fascism with authoritarian 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. My only response to the Stalinist flood in my mentions.
People need to read more theory. Both of us? Oh, that's very strange. Here's the thing, like,
and then you just see like all the comrades who are like on me Twitter, because like the algorithms just like made sure that like their first replies, and it's crazy fucking Twitter, mate.
Yeah, I'm listening back on the stream and it seems okay, so it's probably just that. It's probably just you.
So let me finish off my analogy, right? Because these democratic socialists, these so-called comrades, and who are looking to electoral politics, you know, these Labour people who think that they're socialists and think that Jeremy Corbyn was socialist, and you can be a socialist and just literally only take part in voting every 4 years and then tweeting about how much you like Jeremy Corbyn. That doesn't make you a socialist. But what these people remind me of are people who drink caffeine-free, diet-free Coca-Cola, and they get it in a green bottle and they sip on it, and they're getting it mainly because it's probably detrimental to the health, which is why they've got the sugar-free version. It's probably bad for the heart, which is why they're on the caffeine version.
It's worse.
But look, they've got it and they think it's better. Oh no, it is, isn't it? These sweeteners and that's true. But they get it and then they sip on this caffeine-free, sugar-free Coca-Cola, feeling decadent as anything. But whilst what they're drinking is completely nothing the same of what Coca-Cola is. Okay, Coca-Cola diet is not the same as normal Coke. It's not the same. It's dead fizzy. It hasn't got as much flavour. It's not as nice, and don't even want to go near caffeine-free Coke after all. That's like insane. Every time I drink Coke, I'm like, I'm going to pure sugar rush and everything here. Do you know what I'm saying? This instance is where I get it on my shift, knowing I'm going to get energy. So if you're drinking it and you're not actually getting energy from it, you're not getting the actual experience of what Coca-Cola is. You're not, like, the only reason you're getting it is because Coca-Cola, through the exploitation of workers all around the world, you know, on minimum wage, have been able to produce that for you, so that again you can sit back, feeling decadent with your caffeine-free, sugar-free Coca-Cola. And that analogy reminds me of these Labour socialists and that, who they think that, no, they can just simply produce a better product from something within, like, the same system. Do you know what I'm saying? And this analogy again, where they use Coca-Cola, is really telling in just how of much of a capitalist fascist society we live in, because these people who are drinking caffeine-free diet Coca-Cola, these people who are drinking, you know, caffeine-free, you know, diet Coca-Cola, I think that they largely defend the liberty of them, and they'll defend capitalism, saying, no, it's like, that gives me the freedom to buy that option, so that's a better thing because I've got that option. And this is, again, it's like where the state is coming in, and, you know, or even where a corporation is coming in and they're filling that role where somebody has to buy a product in order to feel like people want like a decadent product. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? It's like people need, imagine you live in a society, right, where everything's Coca-Cola, where Coca-Cola's everywhere. Imagine you live in a society where Coca-Cola is plastered everywhere, okay, where it like, you've seen that picture, haven't you, where like you see capitalism in the Coca-Cola sign, yeah.
Yeah, that's détournement.
Yeah, and that's just really epitomizes capitalism, like really enjoy capitalism, because what we're talking about is like a perfect example of what people will look at and think that they're getting, you know, peak freedom, peak choice, peak opportunity, and it's this market. But again, we talk about capitalism being an actual vicious force around the world, and it's insane that like there's people out there who drink something that imitates Coca-Cola. It's clearly not. It doesn't taste like it. It doesn't look like it. It's imitating Coca-Cola. It's not the same. And the only reason you're drinking it is because it's detrimental to your health. Well, capitalism's detrimental to your health. That social, economic, political system which you're living at is detrimental to your health. Social democracy, all Bernie Sanders, you know, Jeremy Corbyn, they're just caffeine-free diet Coke. Do you know what I'm saying? That's all they are. They're just made palatable for you.
Sure. Let me chat to chat a minute. That tweet, Chapo's leftist website, is a bunch of emails and a lot of them lost the shit. I have no idea. I don't listen to Chapo. I don't follow Chapo. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure there are crazy people because there are crazy people, right? But that's fundamentally different from the like theory and the best way to go about and do things. So like even if there really were a bunch of like crazy MLs over there, that doesn't mean they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? That just means they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be correct and an asshole. You can be correct and crazy, if that makes sense. Not free until we're all free. Yeah, I agree with you.
Down with the establishments, watch out coming through. Oh, that's insane. That's getting removed. Boom, you gone. What were the comments? Fuck off. See, see the more coming. Don't know what it means. Just get banned.
Yeah, again, this just comes back to like reading Engels on authority, right? The idea that like, you know, some people think that authority is inherently bad. It's just not the case.
Why?
Well, that's a great question. So do you actually want to talk about this? Because you're probably going to annoy this person in chat.
He's going mad. I mean, yeah, I mean, we can do what you want to talk about. What does anybody in chat want us to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I was just responding to that person in chat, right? Talking about like Chapo's leftist website. What website? Is it just like chapo.com or whatever? I have no idea. I don't even know what the website is, honestly.
Yeah, see, I don't listen to Chapo, and I never have. I've actively avoided it because I think that they do. I mean, it's probably going to be no surprise to you, but I think that they do talk a lot about electoral politics, don't they? And that's something I've actually had to be convinced during this conversation that we should do more of?
I have no idea. Like, I've listened to a couple of their episodes, and like, they, yeah, I'm not a Chopper fan either. I've like not even really. What is this?
Like, do you know what it
this
is?
is like,
It's the users, particularly on Reddit, who are like
yeah, you're just
insanely
talking about
mad
Reddit.
for like Chapo and that, and I think that they're cringe. I think that like they're just
Since
not
they got-
funny whatsoever, but they all think that they're dead funny and they're just not. Do you know what I
Since
mean?
the subreddit got taken down, I'm guessing that they like opened their own website or whatever. Yeah, I get it.
They're probably
Just
dead
remember it's-
funny if you get it, but like I'm an outsider, so I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Just
definitely like
remember-
some kind of sexist, and you know what it is I'm reminded, like a lot of like just right wing, the way that right wing people like talk to each other, and like I see similar descriptions. But again, as I said, I haven't actually properly engaged with it whatsoever. Like, so I'm probably just chatting shit. But what's in my notepad here? What have we got in my book of rhymes?
That's cool. I mean, yeah, again, I've listened to a couple of episodes. There are members on there that are pretty funny, but I'm pretty sure like all the bad takes come from Amber. That's like basically what I've seen. Like I've seen some complete galaxy brain takes. Like she's written some articles in some magazines that's just nuts. And she's friends with that. Oh my God, I don't even know who she is or what podcast she's from, but she's like, I think it's Red Scare, the Dasher, that person. It's nuts. It's like straight nuts. But again, I get it. It's possible to be correct and a maniac. Like it's possible to be correct and an asshole, right? So just because they're assholes doesn't mean they're wrong. It means they're assholes. And they might be. They might be an asshole that's correct, right? Like, because I can give you some truth, but like scream it at your face and be an asshole while doing it. Like,
What have I got in my notes here? Right, the fear of violence will never cease to be underestimated by me. And this is me just talking about like literal normal people. Like there's so many people like actually terrified of violence, and you know that's an interesting point. What do you make of violence? What is violence, Ryan? Is violence when you act out, you know, in force on a physical object and then the physical object breaks? Can you be violent towards an inanimate object, or can you only be violent towards people? What do you make of that like philosophical distinction?
I mean, there are abstractions, right? Like people, you know, whenever you want to have the conversation about like revolutionary violence or self-defense or whatever, you know, people always end up believing that the current state of affairs is not violent, and so to enact violence would be aggressive, or like you would be the perpetrator. But in reality, it's self-defense, right? Because poverty is violence, right? Like all these bills that they pass that you know make your living and working conditions worse, that's violence, right? So like people assume that like everything that we live in now is fine, but if you like punch someone, that's violence. But that's because of the difference between like individual and systemic things, right? It's abstracted when the state does it. People just don't understand that distinction, right? People only really think of violence as being like when you punch someone. They don't ever think of like systemic systems of government and, you know, policy being passed disproportionately enacting certain percentages of the population, right? People never think of that as violence, right? Which is why when we're talking about like a DOTP or like a dictatorship of the proletariat, like for me that's self-defense, right? This isn't aggression. This is self-defense. This is, you know, the revolutionary need to, you know, take out those who wish to inflict violence just simply because of who people are or like things they can't control or change.
So how is it people don't realise that? Would you say that it's because that they have some kind of bourgeois morality that they've picked up through like a kind of cultural hegemony? You know, the media are always gonna, you know, literally show, who said recently, they're going to show like breaking a bank's window and equally as like horrendous as breaking like a church's window. You know what I'm saying? There's the significance there is just as insane. Do you know what I'm saying? So I mention it just because people are terrified of violence in any way, manner, shape or form. People are terrified to break objects. They're terrified to set, a bin on fire at the protest, even though that bin burning on fire could bring like mass global coverage to whatever they're protesting, whatever their activity is. So like it's not violent if a bin goes on fire. I mean, you just change the bin bag and like brush up the ash. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like nothing, but what's going on is like people are being genocided. People are, not being treated under COVID appropriately, maybe because of some kind of eugenics or just governments who just don't give a shit, and to them money and spending targets are more important than saving actual lives. When we've got a system where people are imprisoned systemically because of a lack of economic availability in life, and thus socially, and thus materially, educationally. This is an extremely violent regime. It's fascist regime that we're talking about. We need to be absolutely livid. People, like, we have to be like on edge, and we have to be like furious, and we have to tell people that we're not violent. Like, we have to do what could be considered or lied to or misunderstood as violence, but all we're doing is trying to prevent an ongoing systemic historical violence, through capitalism, imperialism, and it's like how scared people are. That's why you see snitches. That's why you see people grassing on each other. The people are gonna grass on each other, like when somebody's like going outside. You see that through COVID. They're trying to get people to phone the police and snitch on people, and it's the people policing themselves. Like Gramsci said, they get the ruling class ideas, and then what they do with this bourgeois morality and bourgeois ideas, what they do with that is police themselves, so that if anybody is seen as revolutionary and somebody does realise that maybe, the Minneapolis police station should be burned to the ground, then they're going to be like, whoa, because that's exactly what Congress would react like. So they're reacting like them, like Congress are parasites in the mind, and that's another reason why they're parasites, because they physically exploit these people, but they're also parasites because they're embodied within our brains.
I mean, we've deliberately been trained to not think systematically, right? Like, the whole thing within capitalism is that no, there's no such thing as structures, there's no such thing as society, right? That's the famous Thatcher quote, right? There's no such thing as society. All there are individuals, right? So you have to start with the starting point that capitalism wants everything atomized and individualized, right? There's no group, there's no together, there's no society, right? There are only individuals. And once that's your starting point, any structural analysis just goes out the window, right? So people won't even see like poverty as violence, because that's not violence. They're just individuals choosing whatever to live that way, right? They don't understand, and it's deliberate, right? They've been trained that way. They've been trained to not think systemically, and that's ultimately what theory does, right? That's what should separate Marxists from those people, right? You look at systems, you look at structures, you understand how the society works, holistically, all together, right? You can't just take one part of it, look at it and say this does that, and then put it back, right? That was the difference between mechanical and dialectical socialism, right? So, I mean, and it's deliberate. We're just trained to not think of systems and structures. We're trained to only ever look at things on their own, look at things as individuals, just look at people and their actions on their own and nothing else.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll say something about the comments in chat, but you just talked about people are trained.
You for sure can't show this on stream, by the way. You cannot show this on stream.
Oh, shit. Why not? It was on YouTube for like a couple of weeks, and then they brought it down, saying it's just not suitable for YouTube.
Yeah, then it's not suitable for Twitch.
Well, fucking don't say nothing. Don't be acting out bourgeois morality on me. So yeah, I'll respond to no. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying just funnily, like making jokes and that because I'm a joker.
I don't know how it works actually. It's probably done on AI. Like they probably already know it happened, right? Like they've probably got like AI and algorithms that monitor every stream, and it's automatic probably. Like it's not going to require someone to report you. I don't think. I think it's just it's already happened. Like they already know it happened.
Yeah. Well, we'll be cool hopefully. But what the fuck? Oh yeah. So you're talking about systemically, right? Yeah, defo systemic. But let's bring that out with a more Marxist analysis. Let's bring out some fancy words here, or even just try and incorporate, history and life and all of that within something as simple as saying a systemic problem. What we try and do is we try and understand the systems insofar as we know a shared truth, like a shared reality. We are living on planet Earth now. It is in the Milky Way. We did evolve from earlier organisms. So these are part of our shared history and our shared reality. That's it is undeniably, if you want to do it scientifically, with evidence, and as scientific Marxists, we do that, but there's enough of it so that we don't have to debate whether evolution happened or whether we live around planet Earth. There's enough of that. But when we talk about political, social, economic systems, again, this is what we're trying to do, trying to find shared truths. So much of our truths are going to be different, and that's where we say material realities are different, but so much of it will be the same, and that's where capitalism comes in, and the state and fascism and corporations affect our lives. So yeah, systemic problems, but we have to find universal truths, so that if the system changes into like a democratic system, then into like a democratic, like socialism or something, if the system changes but the material reality and the shared truth of exploitation still remains, then we've got the history to say no, it's not just the system that's a problem, it's like because of these reasons. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like some mad shit, but
well, I mean, it's ultimately, the people's relation to the mode and means of production that determines what type of economic system and government you get, right? That's why if you have, I mean, it might be contentious to some people, but ultimately, if you have the market based on exchange value, then you have capitalism. Ultimately, you will over time, right? That's just how it is. It's not necessarily just about production, it's about distribution. So that's why we talk about the mode and means, the means and mode of production. Because even if you have like true democratic workplaces and they're all owned by like the people, right? If the exchange system is still based on exchange value instead of use value, then you've not actually ultimately changed the core of the system, because things are still being exchanged and bought. They still go to the highest bidder, right? They're not being based on use value, which is exactly what we should do. We should change the market system to exist for use value instead of exchange value. That way people get what they need instead of, anything they want. Because as it stands right now, like if there's some kind of like food shortage, let's say, just on like milk, then you get into people arguing about whether luxury can even exist under a DUTP. That hasn't transitioned to.
Whether luxuries can even exist, that's a dead good point. Ryan, let's hear your thoughts on that, and I'll share mine. I'm looking on wrapping it off soon, so if anybody wants to get any thoughts in, do just say, because I'm just going to have a little rest in that. Could return tonight, but We need to be prepping for a podcast tomorrow. So get to that, Ryan, and any other comments that come through before we end.
Yeah, I mean, luxury is kind of like up in the air, but again, it's kind of further down the road, if that makes sense. Like, that's a perfectly great conversation, and we can probably have that for weeks on end. There's no doubt about it, right? But the main focus obviously should be necessities first, right? So if you change, like abolish the value form, and then you have an actual system that works based on use value instead of exchange value, right? The first thing you would be doing is distributing food, housing, and clothing to everyone that needs those things. And then it's, up for debate about what happened to luxury goods. I guess it really depends on what you call luxury goods. Are you talking like Louis Vuitton bags or something? Because, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, how would I do this? As long as,
You'd have to sell all your Louis Vuitton bags.
no, I mean, listen, here's the thing. So long as they're Yeah, defining luxury. This is what I'm saying because like it depends on what you mean by luxury because there are luxuries that are actually not luxuries, if that makes sense. Like Louis Vuitton handbags to me is just a straight up luxury. Um, whether a phone is luxury?
Decadence, yeah. It's decadence.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think a phone, unfortunately, is a luxury anymore. I would probably prefer to live in a world where they were. But here's this weird thing, and I'm going to take a huge, weird turn here, right? So
Uh-oh.
the Unabomber talks about this, right? Like
Uh-oh.
he has a giant manifesto, and he's like a lunatic crackpot on like 99% of the stuff he talks about. But if you've actually read the manifesto, in there he talks about like the role that technology plays within a society and how it actually traps all of us. Because first of all, okay, take the car, right? So the car was seen as a luxury. Obviously, the rich people get cars first. And then it filters down to society, economies of scale, and we get to the point where cars are relatively cheap and most people can buy them. Cool. But then what happens is that you can't get a job without a car,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Society changes so that, okay, now you have to have a car. Now you can't get around
Yeah.
without it, right? And it's the same thing with a phone. Like, yeah, phones are for sure luxuries. Except, I mean, let's change phone to the internet, into internet access, right? So internet access. So internet access seems like an actual luxury until you realize that actually you can't apply for a job without it. Like you can't even like
Can't
apply
apply
for
for
benefits
benefits.
without it. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it stops, so it crosses over from becoming a luxury to becoming a necessity. Like you actually just have to have it to survive now. Um, but like I'm saying is that will never be true of something like Louis Vuitton handbags, right? There's never going to be someone on the floor seizing because they haven't seen a Louis Vuitton handbag in a day, right? It's never going to happen. So
I
those
don't
things
know,
are,
have you ever seen like the Kardashians or like
I
them
mean, I
them
guess, dude,
them
but
nearly 16 videos where they have like the most exorbitant luxury parties because they were turning 16. Have you ever seen any of them shows? Like they get like
yeah,
cars and everything. I mean, they would kick and scream if they don't get those bags, right? Let me tell
yeah, I
you.
mean, I don't care. Kick rocks, right? Like I don't like I could not care less, honestly. Like give them a pickaxe and send them to the countryside. You know what I mean? Like go do some manual labor.
The handbag is a luxury, but there's an argument to be made that art's also uh, uh, that it is also art, which then brings art into the discussion.
Yeah, we can
Like,
talk about art. Like you can talk about
yeah,
like socialist realism that happened under Stalin. You can talk about like different aesthetic
mm,
forms. Like earlier when you were talking about that like capitalism as the Coke logo thing, that's an art style. That's called détournement, and it comes from the Situationist movement under Guy Debord. Great movement, love it. It's also where Derize comes from, the idea of like drifting through a city, like geographical, like damn, what does he call it? Psycho. He came up with a term. He like made up a whole new term for that. It was like geopsychology or something. It was the idea that like when you're living in a heavily dense populated city, um, the idea of deriva was like what's it called? Deriva was basically just drifting, and it was just going down the city, going down roads you've never been before, essentially just like getting lost in a city that you live in, but you've never seen that street before. So you just go there aimlessly. You're not looking to do anything. You don't really have any specific intentions. You're just drifting essentially. But yeah, I mean, all art styles, you can get into like aesthetic styles and everything. Yeah.
Alright,
Did
let me
you
respond.
did you know that art was actually a weapon? Like the CIA used art as a weapon. Hopefully, I'm teaching someone in chat this. Um, so in the Cold War, the CIA used they
They used an
yeah.
art.
They used art as a weapon. So basically, the CIA funded a specific art movement, and I can't remember what it was called, Expressionism maybe. And they basically funded artists, and they created these like shadowy foundations and corporations, like think tanks essentially, to just funnel tons of money to these. Let me find a link, and I'll post it in chat. Um, Here we go, found it. So, but yeah, they literally it's a giant weapon, and they did it in the Cold War to obviously try and counter the Soviet Union.
I mean, I'm just going to comment on can you have luxury items, or can they exist under the dictatorship of the proletariat? Like, I think to an extent, life's about living, and we need certain luxuries. What I think is probably nearly everybody on the planet could have like a flipping a Lamborghini. Do you know what I'm saying? I think everybody on the planet could have many of the luxuries that the bourgeoisie capitalists could have, and not only that, but we could have produced them with a more environmentally sustainable resources. We could focus more on me little cabin there's going for a little flying and extra vehicle activity. And just to talk about resources, I said on the interview with Brett, I said I think we should all have a spaceship like this. You know what I'm saying? I think we should be able to get around planets. Obviously we're limited by fuel, and we should be focusing on better technologies, but I don't think that like the dictatorship of the proletariat means that we can't have luxuries by any means. Our definition of what a luxury might be has probably changed, because a luxury could be something that's crafted, handmade by some. In fact, that's the funny thing, isn't it? That is what a luxury is, something that's crafted by handmade, by an expert. But that's what we had normally before companies and machinery started making shitty products that were could be produced under planned obsolescence, so that we had to keep buying more. Do you know what I'm saying? So all these concepts of luxuries are simply things that are made good, and they're probably going to last. Do you know what I'm saying? So we'll have that in the future. We're not going to have to buy Asda's own smart priced, macaroni cheese, because the macaroni cheese that's available to the people is like good. Do you know what I mean? They've monopolised what a lot of things are through value and that, but really there's just going to be good quality everything. And when we talk about art and somebody's drive to want to make a product that then could be socially beneficial for people, or even just like fun. I think that if something, just like somebody created the iPhone under communism, I think that how communism should work is that, like, if the people really want it so much, just like they did today, everybody wants an iPhone, they want this latest tech, I think that it would be the state's role in order to make sure, I mean, we're talking about precarious items through like minerals that have been exploited, but if we could figure out, a way to access these minerals without exploitation, or even with the cooperation of the people in which we've extracted them from, then we can have a state ran by the dictatorship of the proletariat, where we're saying everybody wants an iPhone because this is cool. We all want to play about with the filters on communist Snapchat, for example, then the state should say, okay, in Liverpool, in Birmingham, in Manchester, in so-and-so in Glasgow, these are the cities where we have to make sure that, it's distributed so that everybody can have one. Again, I think about this concept, even just not even luxury resource, but then again, okay, is toilet roll a luxury to somebody who can't afford any? Yes. Do you know what I'm saying? So what the state should do, again, under the dictatorship of the proletariat, because people talk about them all day. Like, I've read this like hundreds of years ago about the dictatorship of the proletariat, and I'm talking about the future now, what it should be. And it is saying that, like, there should be, again, in Liverpool, you need 2 toilet paper factories, you need 2 toilet paste factories, you need a toothbrush factory, you need to make so much shoes for the people, and then that's delegated throughout the infrastructure of the entire country, so that people aren't like getting shit shipped all around the world from China, for example. The people can produce these things themselves, and the people can distribute them where needed. And again, whenever a socially beneficial product does come out, like an iPhone that could advance human happiness, fun, and our own efficiency to be productive, then the state should say that this should be rolled out everywhere. And then that's when we're supported in producing these items, and it's not owned by one person extracting it off the backs of us all. We're producing what humanity needs, we're producing what humanity wants, and we will absolutely live better lives in every conceivable fashion.
Ultimately, you just have to think systemically instead of individually, right? Like, it doesn't really do you any good to look at a handbag and ask if it's a luxury, right? Instead, you should look at the entire system and ask, like, what social function does Louis Vuitton perform, right? Where are these bags made? By who? Under what conditions? Right? So this is why, the person in chat's talking about, they're made due to the exploitation of the global south. Yeah, of course, right? Because that's where all those minerals come from, and that's ultimately the system that capitalism set up, and that's the system it wants, right? It's mined over there by like child slaves.
But that's it. That's again the point. We're talking about handbags, Louis Vuitton, and capitalism going hand in hand, and it's these are the ruling class motherfuckers who we have to, like, these are the businesses. And I mean, Louis Vuitton right now are guaranteed there'll be factories out there, and apparently the workers will be called key workers in a Louis Vuitton factory. I don't reckon Louis Vuitton's going to stop production under this, but a lot of gyms and that which combat mental health and all of that are shut down. So I'd say about Gigathorn and syndicalism. They said, that's what brought me to syndicalism, the ability to organise in discrete industries and use experts within those areas to find how to most fairly create the respective commodities, despite the fact that I believe we should be decommodify anything without necessarily requiring a state. But I've never personally been convinced of the dictatorship of the proletariat specifically. That's kind of unrelated. No, but look, that it is related, but and I can see but like this syndicalism and the ability to organise in these industries with experts in these fields, that's only because I think that there aren't enough communists out there, scientific socialists, who are able to have a plan in order to tell these people just how valuable they would be as a member of the dictatorship of the proletariat. Like, these people, I don't think that they're reached to by Marxists in any good way whatsoever. We need vision. We need to, again, I've been talking about what the dictatorship, how we get toothbrush and toilet roll and all these necessities out there to the people. I don't think that people are doing that enough. And we need visionaries. We need people who can talk to these experts in those fields. Again, I've talked about we need more neuroscientist comrades. We need we need like people in NASA who want to be, who are like can look towards Marxism and then see a scientific material future for us there as well. But it's hard when Marxism and communism and all of that is something that's primarily of the proletariat and the poor class, but all these experts are generally gonna not feel radical because they've probably had better, they've been more well off in their life. Yeah, they are in more comfortable positions, to put it in other ways. But at the same time, we look at COVID now, and these people are probably losing out on jobs, losing income. They've become proletarianized more than, expertized or, academicized. And they're back to just being proles as if they never had this education because they're probably not key workers. So, you know what I'm saying? That's not to say that they're never going to become communists. It's just to show that communists are not going to... or are failing to educate them in vanguardism and Marxism. What do you reckon?
There's no inherent contradiction between those things, right? Like, just because there's no reason why we can't have experts within a DOTP, right? Like,
oh no, fact, but like, what I'm saying is, there's as we said, it's hard to radicalize people who are comfortable in these positions, but it's so important. So it's so important that we actually reach these people in those positions. But how do we? How do we reach these people in expert positions such as like neuroscience? I don't know, infrastructure, the civil service.
You don't need to. Because that's just not how power functions, right? Like, once a DOTP has control of the state, that's it, right? Essentially, what you're saying is, like, once you sit in the throne, then that's it, right? Like, you have the power. So at that point, everyone genuflects to power, right? That's just that's just how countries work, ultimately. Obviously, like...
Yeah, but Ryan, you need to get to that point first. And we're talking about how to get that point, but I don't think that we can get to that point if, like, for example, we're talking about the transportation system where we need to move ships. I mean, we talk about authority and the importance of authority, like, actually, though, and that's because people have to navigate cruise ships and all these other ships to transport, all everything all around the world, and we don't know how to do. I can't drive a cruise ship. I can't drive a plane. Do you know what I'm saying? But we need pilots. We need we need these captains. Do you know what I'm saying? We need these experts. We need even these military officials who know how to protect our country from attacks. We need people who know how anti-aircraft defences work. We need experts in every field.
Why wouldn't we?
Because we're not talking to them.
No. What?
I don't, because we're talking to other proletarians, we're not talking to experts.
Yeah. Why would we talk to experts?
Because why would...
what does the P in DOTP stand for?
The proletariat.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But have you looked around? The proletariat's on its back. It hasn't got a clue what to do because there isn't real revolutionaries. There's just people who are producing material online and that. And I'm saying, Ryan, we can't just simply say because they're experts, fuck them, we'll do it without them, and then they can either bend or kill them.
It's not saying we can do it without them. It's saying... once a DOTP establishes power, they work for you now.
And again, these unions are we talked about this in post-Fordism, everybody's gig economy, everybody's temporary contract. People aren't staying about for longer than a few months. They'll come and go as the seasons go. So unions don't have that great organisation capacity to influence the workplace. It's because they've got temporary workers, whereas previously you could have people in unions for decades.
Yeah, of course, because the unions within First World nations aren't revolutionary. That's just obvious.
So I mean, that's why, again, workers absolutely no leg to stand on because they're all on temporary contracts and they're all literally kissing the feet of the bosses everywhere that they've still got a job under capitalism. So they're not gonna unionise, not gonna do nothing like that. So
what unjustified hierarchy? Because I don't even know what that means. Like, I know that anarchists love to talk in these terms, but to be honest, if a armed group existing for the protection of the revolution isn't a justified hierarchy, then the whole conversation's meaningless, right? Then your justified hierarchy doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because if you haven't justified why there should be a dictatorship of the proletariat, then you have got what? Are you trying to make them submissive or what? Because I reckon it's well easier just telling them and educating them than trying to force them to behave in a certain way. Yeah, it is though, you know what I'm saying? It is literally replacing one set of masters for the other, but it's meant to be for the bourgeoisie and the capitalist. We can't do that to the experts just because they're clever.
I've just yet to hear why that's a bad thing.
Because we're not going to have a dictatorship of the proletariat. Because what are you going to do? Just like put them against the wall, and it's not going to work. We're talking about learning from history. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, you can't just.
If you learn from history, you would realize that's the correct thing to do.
Like, when it comes to Ryan, we're not even talking about like people overtly being reactionaries. We're talking about educating people. Are you not for educating people?
Yes, sure, but I don't even understand what you're talking about at this point.
I mean, we're just talking about saying that it's important to have experts in various fields, continuously trying to get us closer to the dictatorship of the proletariat.
But no, we're not doing the same thing as capitalism under a different pretense. Capitalism isn't just hierarchy. Like, you have an understanding of capitalism and the relationship between them that isn't, right? Like, there are experts in society, but there always have been, and there always have been, right? Like, during 1917, Lenin's DOTB, what do you think about what do you think happened to all the experts in that society? Right? They helped out, right? They did whatever they did, right? Scientists want to do science. So doing science for the DOTP they're just doing their job, right? They're doing the same thing as they did before, right? Like, nothing's changed in their lab. They're not, right?
What happened there?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Oh no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, all power to the people. We need all people on board. I mean, no, good point. Okay, so we don't have to stay on this and just argue. We disagree to some extent.
I don't think we do. Like, because here's the thing, like, experts do what they do, and they're good at what they do, whatever, scientists, engineers, whatever, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I said earlier, I don't know whether people were here for that, is that, like, it's, for example, it's not my role to try and radicalise or educate the academic people. It's the role of revolutionary academics to go out and do that and then talk to them with, like, they've typed out an essay, with amazing grammar and all this sources and all this, like, percentages and all of that, because that's what it'll take to convince these academic people. It's not going to take me just sharing,
Okay, stop, because I have to talk to chat.
Doing.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and that's exactly what should be done. And if you don't do that, then the revolution fails, right? That's what that means.
So just to put that into like context, is like,
because here's the
right
thing.
now is like we live under a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. If we don't like it, we can choose to kill ourselves. We can choose to go to snap and then go crazy and then just be on drugs in a mental asylum, which happens all the time. People are always killing themselves. People are always going crazy, ending up in mental asylums. Or you can choose to be furious, act out on your natural instincts, that you're not a submissive slave, and then you end up spending your whole life in jail as like a felon, as a criminal. That's the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. That's what we're living under. Or we can choose to live as wage slaves, a meaningless, petty existence where we're alienated from even choosing what we want to be in life, what we actually like in life. We don't have that opportunity. We can't do that because we're constantly in a cycle of going to work to try and get the bills paid, only getting, the meager, economic existence of what we need to survive and as workers, and never flourish. And again, you come home from work and you're tired, and I'm too tired to talk to Ryan and like plan episodes and that after work because I'm knackered. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm mentally and physically tired. That's what we are. We're batteries to capitalists to serve. Just like with you see in the Matrix, where they're all in them little pods. That's an exaggeration, but it's I mean, the only difference to that is we have to choose to kill. We have the option to kill ourselves.
This
to
is
go
literally
to
the
jail.
conversation we were having
It's
earlier.
a dictatorship that we're living under. But what we're what we're saying is like our power that goes to these bourgeoisie people so that they can fly anywhere in a moment's notice. They can go anywhere in a moment's notice with anything. Like everything they have, everything they can do with their power, and that is their ability, like their money, that is their ability to, change or travel through time and space. That's like real power. And like we talk about energy, it's a conversion of calories. It's like, but they have the power to have, ships to move through time and space. No, they don't even need calories because their energy is from our power that I've burned, as a worker, and this is exploited, this is extracted, and like they've got so much power that like all the infrastructure from all of their like businesses have been going on 40 years, 50 years longer off the backs of the proletariat, and like we don't have the power to even feed ourselves most of the time. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what we're talking about when we say all power to the people. It's about taking back these workplaces and our own life force, and be able to like get what we've put out into society from society as socialists. They were tackling a few points there, but it's so important that like we just look at how viciously oppressed we are. What the capitalists do to slaves to make them slaves, well, they beat them, they whip them into submission, so that the only slaves who were alive were the ones who were gonna be slaves. If they said, there's a quote, Ryan, you probably know it, that like if these slaves fought and against the submissiveness, then they were killed. So what the capitalists said, what these white supremacists said, they said that like either they die as men basically, or they live as slaves, or what was it? No, it's showing you that they die like basically as half men, or that they live and they can't be men, or the lower than men, the subclass and lower than men, because a man could never ever let himself be a slave. To these white supremacists, they're saying that a man would never ever live the existence of like actual chattel slaves, as it was like in recent history. And that's what's going on with workers today. That's why we talk about eugenics. It's so that as well as like the only workers who are alive today, the only proletarians who you like breed with each other and who are like able to take wage slavery, are the ones who don't kill themselves or aren't killed, and all of that shit. So like we're being bred like dogs, the same way that we bred dogs from like wolves and that. so that their like dogs are more submissive, so that they're like a nicer breed and all of that shit. They've been doing it with the people for hundreds of years, but we're talking about serious like eugenics, and like we're talking about stopping that and saying all power to the fucking people, end all this exploitation. And like any other ideology out there, any other like political concept, it doesn't really think of the viciousness of capitalism in those terms. I don't think that it really truly grasps how evil the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie is, and just how literally good the dictatorship of the proletarian is. It's like, it's black and white.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, how would an anarcho-syndicalist society defend against counter-revolution is the real question. Because here's the thing, you seem to have this notion that like violence is wrong. Yeah, except remember earlier when we were talking about like we live under perpetual violence. So violence to end violence is self-defense. It's not aggressive behavior, right? So in answer to your question, you were saying if a person wasn't on board with the DOTP, they're brought to heel forcefully. Maybe, it depends. Who are we talking about, right? If you're talking about like counter-revolutionary forces directed by the bourgeoisie, then the answer is yes. Chad face yes, right? If you're talking about like just individuals who don't agree with like a certain policy or whatever, then no, right? Like it depends on who you're talking about and the structural position they play, right? It depends.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's been violent, this revolution. I understand why people are apprehensive to it, but I just love all power. I just think that we can talk about socialism, scientific socialism, without the bloody murder that's necessary. I think the only time where it could potentially be necessary is literally when you're gonna see like a coup emerge from like fascism. Like I mean, it can
would
only
always
be
happen.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Time.
But that can be the only way in which, like, because we're not going to go out and look and to try and be violent and like just find people who disagrees with us. We're going to try. I mean, ideally, I think it's up to us to be good enough to convert them basically and to tell them the truth. If we can't do that, then we're poor educators, and then we shouldn't even be trying to educate. But we're in this role now to try and educate people, so we have to do a proper job. So Gilthonial obviously might be blowing your mind, seem like super radical and violent, but again, if you just bring back to what we said about what is violence and and the people being scared of violence, and you know, this morality in which we're taught it, that's why so much of this Marxism is philosophy, because we have to think about it really, because that's all we can do at the moment. We're not actually going out and doing it, but we have to like take part in the philosophical side and engage in these questions, which you're going to have, a lot of other people going to have, and we hope that, you know, this conversation is something that is going to like hit home to somebody else with those similar
People
questions.
Just have idealistic notions of the state, right? Like, honestly, do you think the bourgeoisie is just going to like be happy, like welcome, smile, and like let you in? Like, it's not going to happen, right? Because hold on, the revolution, violence for freedom and revolution is not wrong. Okay, then you agree with us. That's the DOTP. That's what that is, right? So, but the revolution skills be brought about as. But the revolution skills be brought about as. Under syndicalism, the transfer rate would improve the life of everyone as society is being reworked, because the stability of have your community.
But like that's what I'm saying. It's like the dictatorship of the proletariat. If everybody wants a society which like on syndicalism, like has certain things that it wants from society, if that's what everybody wants, then that's what it'll be, because it's the dictatorship of the proletariat. If people really do want their community to be ran like under syndicalism, that's what they'll have, because it's the dictatorship of the proletariat. They've powers of like their masters of their own lives and their own communities. What you'll or I think that what you probably could. We'll do an episode on this more, because I really do believe that everything you're talking about, stability, community, unions, these are things that, like, in communist countries, like under like the mass line, and can't remember what it was called in Cuba, like they literally are, there's so much more about community than syndicalism. I think that the dictatorship of the proletariat is so much more about like the community and being heard than you can actually imagine right now.
DOTP is literally like a vanguard party of the workers taking control of the state. So yes, that's the first step, right? And I can get to this position philosophically. Okay, so once you understand, okay, so let's just start at the absolute basics, okay? So once you understand what is the state, okay, so given if you've read State and Revolution, right, you have a Leninist understanding of the state, right? This means that the state's the instrument of class warfare. Okay, so what does that mean? It means the state wages class warfare.
And as we talk about shared truths, that's just a universal
let me
truth.
talk.
No, I know, yeah, but that's a universal shared truth. That's not an ideological statement that you've just made. That's just a fact.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, right, but that's what the state does, right? That's what the state is definitionally. So once you understand this, you realize, okay, so what do we live under now, right? We live under a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, right? So, okay, cool. So then the next question is, okay, you understand that the state is the instrument of class warfare. Okay, so now what, right? What's the first prescriptive step? We need that, right? The state, we need that, right? It's very simple. And that's what a DOTP is. It's like, okay, well, the bourgeoisie have the state, we need that. So it's a DOTP, right? A proletarian vanguard party. Step one is to take over the state, right? That's what that is for.
I mean, it's mad thing, like, it's just like, it's not going to be easy. It will be different. Like, there will be a different dictatorship of the proletariat, but for the characteristics of the people within the country, because they do have different values and different, material, social needs. So it's not something that any Marxist could say, your country is going to be ran like this, because we don't know what ours is going to be ran like, because we haven't listened to the people. We haven't done the mass lines and that. We haven't had the vanguard yet to tell us what the people are really after. But we do know that in terms of like practicality and how to practically listen to people, get the message across, that's improved so much more than any other time in history. We haven't got to send letters, we can do FaceTime, we can send, information, and all that technology is going to help us out so much. I'm confident that, that we're going to win.
I mean, there's so much here, right? Like, the organization of the state doesn't touch the everyday lives of people. You could abolish the state tomorrow and your job wouldn't be affected. You can't have capitalism without a state. Okay? So, like, anarcho-capitalism is literally impossible. I mean, it's definitionally impossible, right? Because capitalism requires a state in order to function, right? Because the second the workers go on strike or they don't turn up to work, I mean, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? No, right? They need to phone the police. So they need a state, right? They need an armed force that is going to bring force down on the workers ultimately.
And so to see that, like, even grow, because where are they getting the resources from for the workers to work that abroad? That's why they need the state again, the militaries, to go over and do some like East India Company shit.
I think ultimately we agree. Like, if you say like violence for freedom and revolution is not wrong, I agree with you. I mean, I'd make a small change. I would say that it was actually like
it was good.
I would say that it's actually like a moral imperative. Like it's good actually. Like so much so that like prevention of violence for revolutionary violence for freedom is wrong.
Yeah, we agree. It was just like I didn't know much about like syndicalism, so I asked about it, and now I know more. And like
that's fine. I'm just
some of the arguments. But Ryan, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you. I reckon we should wrap up. I'm gonna have to eat and all that madness. Like,
I was chatting to the people in chat, but yes, of course it's the transitionary stuff that we disagree on, but here's the problem. Like, anarcho-syndicalists have never performed a successful transitionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only reason... Okay. Let's do it like this. Let me explain why this works and how I arrive at this position, okay? I only want to know what's true and what works, right? Also, the Marxists, not even remotely true. Like 1917, like Mao, like... Because here's the thing, right? When we just go with what works, right? If that makes sense. Like, you need to look at outcomes. You need to look at the stuff that works, okay? So when you're looking at, like, how do we arrive at this end goal? Let's say we share an end goal, right? And we're looking at, okay, how do we get to this end goal? I'm going to take... that didn't involve the of course it involved the plurality of the people. What do you think the Red Army was? You know how many millions of people? I mean, they literally, like, of course, it was like the Soviet Union had the highest body count in World War II. That's, like, out of any nation. It involved the most people. Because it's all about how you get to a conclusion. I mean, that's what history is, right? The organizational level? Oh, so you mean like... Yeah, but again, the Red Army was an organization of the DOTP, right? So the Red Army was the armed wing of the DOTP, essentially. So that was the organizational level, right? That's what that was. And I mean, again, you can look into history and what happened, right? What happened when the Red Army, right? The White Army, right? As far as having an actual... Oh, well, that's just democracy, right? That's just new democracy. That just needs to make sure that the party... Because here's the thing. Here's what people confuse. People think that democracy and dictatorship are mutually exclusive. They're not at all, right? So the DOTP should operate as both. It should operate democratically internally, and it should operate dictatorially externally, right? So everyone in the party has a say in its democracy and its debate and its we vote and it's all that. But when the party makes a decision and we agree on it, that is the point at which it's not up for say anymore, right? That's the difference.
Can we wrap this up? Because gonna conclude it there. Gonna do some things.
If you so choose.
Yeah, so we'll wrap this up and we'll just say hello to everybody who popped up in chat. We got Abby Costello, another TV viewer, Banksy, Conrad, 1917, Ben Cortana, Bitcoin's ex Casino, thanks, clear your browser history, Commander Root, Droop Dog, Electrical Board, X-Farm, Extra More, for top payer, Galathonian, go with him, have this two Ice Wizards, joint effort, Stream Elements and the conversation, Jews as and Marxist, and it was me, Shibby. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. We did actually talk over a lot. We got more people joining as the stream went on. You know, follow us. We'll definitely thank you for the discussion.
For sure.
We'll definitely be doing this more, won't we, Ryan? We'll probably record future episodes from our podcast. We'll probably just do it here live with our guests. So if you want to see the podcast before they come out on our RSS feed, which you should also follow on your podcast app, so then you can stay notified of our new episodes. We've got a lot of goodness coming, all with a lot of your favourite comrades out there, other producers, content producers, and organisations. So with that being said, thank you, the Zen Marxist.
What's up?
Workers and lumpen of the world. Unite.
Peace.